engines. We have 2 in each quad of the vehicle, so 8 total. And those are bigger engines with a high flow propellant system. And those are what lift Dragon off of Falcon 9 in the unlikely event of emergency, requires us to get off of Dragon. Now, you probably remember, let's see, a Mercury, also Soyuz, they have that big pointy tower on top. That's the launch escape system for vehicles. It's actually just another rocket on top of that lifts the vehicle. In the case of Dragon, our escape system is integrated into the vehicle completely. And so that's just better from one less thing you have to jettison in every single flight. But it also allows us to have escape capability from all through to orbit. And so even if the very last minute, if we needed to get off of stage 2 while we're in space, we escape to orbit. Right. So yeah, that's the escape system for little baby Dragon here.
Thanks, Lauren, and thanks for walking us through that, because I think it's really important that people understand capability. That's the whole point when we hear that armed. What that means is they separate from Falcon 9, shoot up into the air, and they can splash down safely in the Atlantic Ocean under Dragon's parachutes. And it was designed to do that. So now that they've been going on for about 2 minutes now, so they have that ability ready to go on standby in an instant if they need it. And so we will offer an operation from John Innsbrucker. John?
Send fuel and stage 2 fuel, all flow rates tracking now.
We're at T-minus 32 minutes, counting down these final minutes. Everything's still looking good for Falcon 9 and Dragon on-time launch. I'll begin propellant load at T-minus 35 minutes at. Now on the Falcon 9, we use a fuel and oxidizers. The fuel is commonly known as RP1. That's rocket propellant grade 1 kerosene. The oxidizer is densified liquid of oxygen and gives off a green colored flame. Now it's hard to see on the first stage ignition due to the water that'll be spraying on the pad, but you might just see the groups following stage separation over 2.5 minutes into flight. Now currently first stage fuel tank is about 10% full. Side of your screens, the first stage is the long white cylinder at the bottom, topped off by the black cylinder. So over 2/3 of the rocket is that first stage. So the fuel tank is getting loaded. We're also loading the liquid oxygen into the first stage also. The second stage, which is the top 1/3 between the Dragon and the black cylinder, that's the white second stage, that is being loaded with fuel right now. That's about 8% loaded at this moment. Liquid oxygen loading is going to begin on second stage at T-minus 16 minutes, 30 seconds. Liquid oxygen loading will continue on both stages all the way down to the last. We're also loading helium into pressure vessels on the stages. That's used to pressurize tank turbo pumps. On board the Dragon spacecraft, astronauts are monitoring systems while the propellant is loaded. And we mentioned we had trained them with sounds that were. They've been through most of the propellant load, and they are now experiencing those sounds and vibrations.
Stage 1, cryo helium load started.
Red conditions cleared up about 15 minutes ago, everything is marginal but acceptable on the weather, we'll continue to watch all the way through the countdown. Now, as a reminder, today, now that we've begun propellant loading, so at this point, if we hear a hold for any reason, we'll have to stand down and target our backup launch opportunity tomorrow, May 31st.
Falta 20 minutos para começar a transmissão. Vou tentar fazer ela sem ficar embaçada aqui. Vamos ver se a minha internet vai, né? Vamos ver se eu consigo aqui. Falta meia hora para o lançamento. E já aguarda só um segundinho aqui que eu vou fazer uma coisa aqui. Tá bom? Só um minutinho que eu vou fazer um negócio aqui. Que parece que estou em 69. Tem que eu vou fazer um negócio aqui. Para a transmissão não ficar com a tela embaçada, né? Porque não dá, né? Tá embaçada é ruim pra caramba. Esse é o lugar errado.
And just after putting Dragon into the same orbital
Só
plane
um
as the
negócio aqui, já
station,
vou fechar.
teams will get ready for Dragon's approach and docking maneuvers.
The next Dragon will make its approach and actually dock with the space station. And this is a very different process from what we've seen with Dragon cargo deliveries in the past, which use a process called berthing. Berthing requires a spacecraft to approach the station and then stop so a crew member can maneuver the station's robotic arm to capture the spacecraft. Docking on this version of Dragon can be done autonomously with no crew on board the station. It's typically a faster process, both when arriving and leaving, but it does still require pinpoint accuracy to approach safety.
Once captured, a spacecraft then gets attached to a common berthing mechanism, same type of port that we use to connect each of the modules on the station together. It's a little bit slower of a process, but the hatches are significantly larger than the docking ports, which makes them perfect for bringing up those really big cargo items.
Dragon will spend up to 120
Pronto, já
days
fiz,
docking
já
before
consegui
preparing to
aqui.
return home, following successful completion of Dragon's test objectives and cargo loading operations. The crew will close the cabin, perform final system checks, and
Não,
configure
peraí,
the
tá
vehicle
errado
for
aqui, ué.
undocking. Once the automated undocking sequence is complete, Dragon will complete 2 departure burns using its Draco engines, pushing it away from the space station.
Deu problema
And
aqui.
next up on the trip, the orbit entry and landing, or splashdown, which is going to cover all the operations following that final departure maneuver. It's going to include events like the trunk separation, closing of the nose cone, a deorbit burn, and then eventually as they get into the atmosphere, the deployment of the drogue and the main parachutes, and all of that ends with splashdown right off the Florida coast. At that point, teams from SpaceX will move in
Falta
with
meia hora ainda
the
para
recovery
começar.
ship,
Vou
grab
tentar
the
fazer
capsule out
negócio
of the
aqui.
water and work to get Bob and Doug out of Dragon after a successful mission in space. So we are 26 minutes away from launch. Fueling of Falcon 9 is continuing. Let's check in one more time down with the team at Kennedy. Murray?
All right, thanks,
Boa tarde,
Dan.
Terra
We are
Plana aí.
so pumped right now because things have cleared up and it looks like we might actually do this today. If you're just joining us, we are now 25 minutes, 46 seconds and counting from the first launch of astronauts to the International Space Station from U.S. soil in 9 years. This will mark the beginning of a new era where more people will be able to fly to space than ever before. And we want to share with you the results of a poll we asked a little earlier. If you could go to the moon, that's not where the astronauts are going today, they're going to the space station, but if you could go to the moon,
Deixa o like aí,
rather
pessoal.
visit the South Pole, where no one has been before,
Enquanto isso, eu
or the Apollo
vou...
11 landing site. And it was a pretty
Eu
even
vou tirar minha
split.
cara e o som aqui para ver se fica melhor a
46%
transmissão. Não vou nem
would
falar.
go to the moon's South Pole, and 54% of you would go to the Apollo 11 landing site. I kind of side with the Apollo 11 landing site because I'm a history buff and I want to see where Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin set foot. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Lauren, which place would you guys?
I'm with you on that one. I would love to go see that flag there and those footsteps, those footprints there. Still be there, right? There?
Be there. Leland, how about you?
I think I'm with both of you because it's just like, you know, the classic, going to the classic spot. And that's where all of it started. That's where all that inspiration came, even though I was an antenna engineer, not saying it, but besides that, that's history.
And hopefully,
Maybe it wouldn't have to be one or the other.
That's true.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we're going to learn more from going where we've never been before. And so we need to go to the South Pole too. And we are thrilled to see all of you following along online. Thank you for answering our poll. And we're going to go over to Tahira, who's been monitoring all the action with less than 25 minutes to go. Tahira, I'm sure things are heating up online.
Não sei por que tá dando entrada aqui, ué.
Completely right. Now that we
Uma
have
coisa
that
errada
goal
aqui.
for launch, people are on the edge of their seat right now, waiting on this historic moment to take flight. As you can see, photos are still coming in of just everyone around the country showing their excitement for this launch. And it's really been a touching thing to see how everyone's kept this excitement going from Wednesday's first attempt. So we just took a look at numbers, and we are now over 3 million people tuning in for this historic launch. And so for me personally, I just want to wish Bob and Doug the best of luck. This will be my own first time watching humans lift off to space from the United States, and it's just going to be a super emotional moment. For that, Lorraine, back to you at Kennedy.
Vamos para a live, agora eu vou compartilhar a live aqui. Vou ver se eu consigo compartilhar, né? Ixi, eu não tô entendendo nada, ô menina mulher. Rush to ride on the black wall, or black witch, Michael Jackson, no more rail. Calma aí que eu vou sair da tela aqui, vou desligar meu microfone.
Opportunity to be in meetings with them and to watch them train. I have to say, and to all of my friends who work with them every single day, the feedback is always just what great people they are,
Right.
and just how not just bright, just good people.
Right.
We often refer to them as the dads.
Yeah. The dads?
They're the dads. They're dads. They are dads,
Okay.
and we've met their families, and you meet people in that very purpose to mean so much. They
Right.
are a part of our team. You know,
Yeah.
they're not a customer. They're our team. They're not a payload. They're our
Right.
team. They're
Yeah.
a family. And so we're just so excited to see the dads up there today.
Yeah. Go
And-
dads.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to go send him to Houston. Gary.
Hey, Marie, the space station team here, all eyes are on the system checks that are happening across the board, and we're listening in as we close in on launch. And things are looking very good. Just the International Space Station right now flying over the Pacific Ocean. It's heading to cross right over the launch pad. Might even get some good views from the station. Hope to have the launch view and the big screen up front, and everyone's excited to see our 2 crew members on their way to the International Space Station. But good luck from the entire flight operations community here in Houston. It's always exciting to be doing something wholly new and history station operations, and we can't wait to see our team members Bob and Doug in low Earth orbit and heading to the International Space Station. That's it from here in Mission Control Houston, and back over to the team in Hawthorne for the latest happening there. John.
T-minus seconds. We're continuing to cut down. Everything is still looking good for launch of Falcon 9 and Dragon. It's 45 seconds after the hour. Down the right-hand side, you can see a large cloud coming off of the strongback. That is normal. As we get ready to load the second stage with liquid oxygen, we have to chill in the plumbing lines going up that strongback. Pressure, the moist, humid Florida air around it, and that gives you the cloud. So that tells us that things are actually on schedule. We've been for the last 35 minutes. Fuel loading on the second stage, I believe we just heard the call out that it is complete. First stage fuel load is continuing, and less than that's about 6% of the way full. So things are looking good. Second stage is getting ready to begin the liquid oxygen loading. After they finish chilling in the lines that you see under, they'll be loaded at T-minus 16 minutes and 30 seconds. The range right now is go, ready to support. Weather continues to be go. As we inch our way closer, we're keeping our fingers crossed. Anybody calls out an issue, but for the moment, as you can see on the screen, it looks good. Now on the Dragon Tide, the Dragon mission director and the team there, they've done the communications checkouts. The crew access arm, as you can see, is retracted away from the spacecraft. The crew is strapped in and they are ready to go. We'll be going to the crew at T-minus 10 minutes. The crew displays will be configured for launch, and that setup will give Bob Benkin and Doug Hurley insight into how the launch is proceeding and provides constant updates on vehicle health. We've already the crew give their go, close the visors, and get ready for launch. For Dragon, it'll enter T-minus sets. When it transitions to internal power, we'll hear continued call-outs on the countdown net as we get close to off. But right now, at T-minus 18 minutes, 15 seconds, everything continues to be go for an on-time. And Jesse, things are looking pretty good over at your stand.
Things are about 15 feet away from you, John, and honestly, things are looking pretty great down at the pad there. We're seeing a lot more blue in the sky. Green is the color we want when we're talking about weather and now. So we're continuing to count down. We are under 18 minutes away from liftoff. Again, it's an instant at 22 and 45 seconds here on the West Coast, 3:22 and 45 seconds over on the East Coast there in Florida. Just a reminder, it's going to be about a 9-minute ride up to orbit for the Falcon 9 and Bob and Doug on board Dragon. It'll be a 2-stage. See the first stage fly until we hear MECO, or main engine cutoff, about 2.5 minutes into flight. After that, the second stage will take over and continue to start off in just under 9 minutes at about 8 minutes and 44 seconds. Following that second stage completing its job, continue about 3 minutes. It'll do a slight attitude adjustment and null out any rate, so make sure it's not in any kind of a spin before they do separation. So that's when the aircraft will physically separate from the Falcon 9 vehicle and fly free. It's about a 19-hour ride if we launch today on time. So that means Bob and Doug will get on orbit. They'll have a number of burns or those firings of those Draco thrusters that they'll do over
Stage 2 LOX load started.
We hear the LOX. The liquid oxygen load has now started on Stage 2. But again, they're going to be doing a series of burns on the way towards the International Space Station 5, spread out over the first 16 hours or so, much close, and it's time for that approach and docking. And we are expecting that with an on-time launch to happen today. That'll be coming tomorrow in the afternoon. Right, now we're under 16 minutes to us. I'm going to toss it over to Jesse.
We are T-minus 15 minutes and 45 seconds from liftoff of our second demonstration mission today. And we're having SpaceX President and COO Gwen Shotwell join us. Thanks, Gwen, for coming out and taking a few minutes to chat with us.
Thanks, Jesse.
We know you've been on console. How's the countdown been going so far in there?
Countdown today, just like it was Wednesday. We did clear the weather hurdles sooner. The only thing we're watching right now is downrange weather and lightning at the staging location.
Of course.
But we will clear that hurdle at T-minus 7 minutes.
Right. Back to 2012, because you were on console for Dragon first making its way to the space station. How does that experience compare to today?
I'm getting nervous for lunches. Yeah. Super nervous. Stomach and throat.
Understandable.
No, it's fantastic. fantastic day today. I'm really excited. The team, their professional operation. And when I say team, by the way, I mean SpaceX and NASA. These folks have been working incredibly hard on a job.
Yes, and we are all so excited. And we know that you have to get back into mission control, but anything that you wanted to say before liftoff to NASA and SpaceX?
Well, I want to thank NASA, of course, for their generosity to this place. I want to thank all the SpaceXers who have come together to make this moment in history. And I want to thank Elon for hiring me.
We thank Elon for hiring you as well. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll let you get back to mission control. And good luck with launch today.
Thanks, Jesse, and Godspeed, Bob and Doug.
We're so excited. Just a few minutes away from countdown. So we are going to turn it over to Dan and John for the final minutes in terminal count. Take it away, John.
Minus 13 minutes, 30 seconds, continuing to count down. Continuing to load fuel onto the first stage. That should finish up in just about 6 minutes. Fuel is completely loaded on the second stage. That's closed out. And we are continuing to load liquid oxygen on both the first and second stage. The liquid oxygen load beginning on the second stage just about 3.5 minutes ago. We are also loading cryogenic helium into the storage vessels on the first and second stage, getting in the last little bits of helium when we keep it cryogenic, cold and liquefied. That gets us oxygen, the maximum amount into the storage volume so we can get the most performance out of the vehicle. Right now, we are in a fairly quiet state on the vehicle. Ground pumps, the first stages. Next significant issue callouts that we're going to hear will probably be inside the T-minus 10 minutes when they talk to the crew. Everything going to look good at T-minus 12 minutes and 20 seconds.
We're getting real close now, John. It's only a little over 12 minutes away, just about a 9-minute ride uphill. We'll have some dueling boxes going on as that first stage is going to be coming home while the second stage is carrying Bob and Doug into orbit. Obviously, we'll be keeping an eye on our astronauts the whole way. The calls that you'll be hearing, as there will be what we call calls over the Dragon to ground the entire way uphill, and you'll just hear some of the SpaceX engineers calling out trajectories and booster performance. We're always looking for that word nominal. I know that's one of John's favorite words. That's one of mine too. We want as possible up on the way uphill. You might also hear some number and letter combinations. Those correspond to the different abort zones that Bob and Doug are in during their flight uphill. A and 1B, which signify they're on the first stage. Those carry them in the Cape all the way up about the top of North Carolina. And then we'll have 2E or 2X, and that will be on the second stage. And that goes from North Carolina all the way up to about the tip of Newfoundland. So in the northern, and then there is a zone Atlantic that we're going to avoid. And so you might be something similar to Shannon, and that just refers to Shannon, Ireland, which they'll be going off the coast of Ireland stages of the second stage if they have to abort. So just prepping you now for some of those calls. You're hoping that a whole lot on the way. 10.5 minutes. Things are pretty quiet. As John I said, it'll pick up right at about 10 minutes. We'll wait for the crew to confirm that they're already strapped in and reported that they are go for launch. And we'll continue to watch the fuel gauges tick up on the Falcon 9 vehicle until fueling cuts off at just about 2 minutes prior to launch.
Dragon, SpaceX confirmed displays are configured for launch.
SpaceX Dragon displays are.
Copy. Bob, Doug, on behalf of the entire SpaceX team, it's been a huge honor to help you get ready for today's historic mission. Know that we're with flight and enjoy those beautiful planet.
Thanks, Jay. It is absolutely our honor for this huge effort to get the United States back in the launch business. Thank you.
Copy all. Thanks for those words.
The SpaceX core. So again, that voice thread from right here in Hoffman, offering a few quick words. The crew did confirm their crew displays are configured for launch. We are coming up on 9 counting.
We've gotten through 10 minute with the crew discussions. Activity is now going to switch over to Falcon 9. Our next mission is at T-minus 7 minutes. We begin what we call engine chill. Valves will open. They'll at least separate propellants on the first stage from getting down to the mergins. We'll open the pre-valves. That'll allow fuel liquid oxygen to flow to the top. Gas and running gas through a high-speed pump is not a good thing. So right now we are waiting for T-minus 7 minutes. That'll start the engine chill. Shortly after that, we will also get the fuel down. And Space Launch Director in the background there. As I mentioned, at T-minus 7 minutes, as we start the chill, we will also get into the final topping off of stage 1 fuel, and then the fuel load will complete.
Stage 1 and Stage 2 engine chill has started.
We've heard the call out. Stage 1 engine chill has started. That's correct. They've got situational awareness. As I mentioned, the pre-valves are open. And we're first stage fuel, getting ready to finish the fuel load. Liquid oxygen load on first and second stage will continue until the last 3 to 2 minutes of the countdown.
We should hear that call out RP1 load complete coming up at about 6 minutes. Again, RP1 is just that densified kerosene or that rocket fuel that Falcon 9 is going to be used to power Bob and Doug to orbit today.
Now, so first stage and second stage fuel are complete. Liquid oxygen loading is continuing on both stages. You can see on the view on the left side of the monitor, the condensation, the cold gas wrapped around the stages as the tank skins are by the densified liquid oxygen, picking up the humidity from the floor.
Looks like this moment we're a little more than 90% full on oxidizer on the first stage, ticking up towards that % mark on the second stage. We'll be counting down all the way till about 2 or 3 minutes, as John and I just said, until everything is loaded.
Falcon 9 heaters closing out.
And then we will be go for launch.
Dragon has transitioned to configure for terminal count. Vehicle tanks pressing for strong back retract.
We're pressurizing the Falcon 9 tanks. We're going to open the clamp arm around the second stage and begin to retract the strong back. We'll move back about 2 degrees. That'll get us to the liftoff position. At liftoff, the strong back will then recline about 45 degrees away.
Stage 1, RPM lead.
We are just 4 minutes away from liftoff. Again, at this moment, Bob and Doug are on those displays. They have insight directly into Dragon and the Falcon 9. They're able to see where their fuel loading is at, how everything's progressing down with the count.
AFTS final setup started.
Three and a half minutes from launch.
Is now reclining away from the Falcon 9.
MBAG igniter purges. Hogo bleed. Dragon has transitioned to terminal count and is on internal power. Stage 1, slow down.
Okay, we're at T-minus 2 minutes, 42 seconds. The LOX load is closed out. Stage 2 will continue to load for about another half a minute or so. Once we get stage 2 LOX,
from the stage 2 LOX load being complete. It's been almost 9 years since we've been in this position. A lot of work done by thousands of people to get to this point. All our eyes focused on 2 now.
Stage 2 closed out. Propellant fills are complete. Dragon is in auto idle.
Stage 2 LOX load complete. All fuel, all oxidizer on Falcon 9. 1 minute, 34 seconds to go till launch.
Starting.
Falcon 9 is in startup. Dragon is on. FTS is armed for launch.
Under a minute now. The FTS, the flight termination system, has been armed.
Dragon, SpaceX for launch.
SpaceX with this candle.
T-minus 30 seconds.
Stage 1, pressing for flight.
T-minus 15 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Godspeed.
America has launched. And so rises a new era in space flight, and with it the ambitions of a new generation continuing the dream. 20 seconds into flight, stage 1 propulsion is nominal.
T plus 30 seconds into this historic mission. Flying crew aboard Dragon and Falcon, look at them go.
Falcon power telemetry nominal.
M1D throttle down.
We're throttling down to get ready for the next one. We're in the throttle bucket. Reports say all systems are. We've exceeded Mach 1 on the Falcon 9.
MD throttle up.
We're throttling back up to full power.
Copy 1 Bravo.
And we heard that 1 Bravo call out. That's just the second abort to be on this until the first stage has done its job and they switch over to the second. At this point, Bob and Doug pulling about 2.3 Gs times the Earth's gravity, already moving at over 1,500 miles per hour.
We've heard the call out for MVAC engine light 244 into flight. Right now, everything continuing to look good. Next major event coming up is going to be the triple. We'll have main engine cutoff of the 9 first stage engines, stage separation, and then ignition of the second stage to continue to carry astronauts into orbit. Coming up, in the first.
Eco.
2 Alpha. Falcon stage separation confirmed.
Copy 2 Alpha.
All right, we have stage separation confirmed. The first stage beginning its flight back. The second stage being powered by that single Merlin 1D vacuum engine has ignited and is now carrying Bob and Doug into orbit. So they're going to continue under the power of this second
Stage
stage.
2 propulsion is nominal.
Which will cut off at SECO, or second engine cutoff, 8 minutes and 44 seconds into today's flight. So a little over 5 minutes to go still on this second stage. You heard the call out to us now. It's a abort zone that carries them all the way from about North Carolina up the eastern seaboard, almost to Canada. Things looking good, though. Getting good call outs, nominal propulsion on the stage, Bob continuing to make their way into orbit.
Dragon SpaceX nominal trajectory.
Acquisition of signal in Bermuda.
Dragon trajectory.
All right, here in nominal trajectory, so Dragon pointing in the right direction, continuing to make heard acquisition of signal Bermuda. That's one of the other ground stations that they're using to get telemetry and data back from this spacecraft.
Stage 2 propulsion is still not.
For 30 seconds into the fleet. Bob and Doug flying at more than 5,600 miles per hour. Already 200 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Nominal trajectory. Continue. And while they continue, it looks like we are getting a view of the first stage as well.
screen, you can see that first stage with the grid fins deployed. It's making its way back to its of course, I Still Love You Today. About a couple minutes away from the entry burn, and that's where 3 of the 9 Merlin engines ignite to help slow the vehicle down as it re-enters back into the Earth's atmosphere. And then after the entry burn will be the landing burn, which is just a single engine
SpaceX nominal.
And you heard
nominal
starting chill for entry burn. There's that cloud. They are still on a nominal trajectory, still on second stage. That engine on second stage on your left screen. On your right is the stage booster coming back towards our drone ship. Of course, I Still Love You. We're about a minute away from entry burn.
Meanwhile, that second stage continuing to power Dragon into orbit. Again, if you're counting, it's not going to continue to burn until 8 minutes and seconds into flight. So a little over 2 minutes from now, we'll hear the call out SECO. It'll then be a little
Stage 2 propulsion is still good.
A little over 3 until Dragon fits the second stage of the Falcon 9. After the
SpaceX nominal trajectory.
Dragon copies, nominal trajectory.
Tick in with Doug as they are on a nominal trajectory. Just about 10 seconds away from that first stage, starting that entry burn on your right screen. We should be able to see that view live. And there is that entry burn beginning.
Alan.
6 seconds long.
Stage 2 FTS is saved.
While that entry burn continues, we're just about a minute away from SECO. We'll have a number of events all happen at the session. Engine cutoff.
Stage 1
we'll be
entry burn
looking for
shutdown.
that stage 1 landing burn shortly after.
Within a few seconds of each other. It's such a cool green Dragon is that they are themselves.
No guidance.
And back throttle step.
Are coming up 25 seconds or so away from SECO, or second engine cutoff.
This is also the other G-force. We're seeing the set up to right about 1.8.
Copy.
We're in the final zones. If they're to abort at this point, would either be an abort to orbit or to land off the coast of Ireland. Standing by for second
Stage 1 landing
cutoff
startup.
confirmation.
And back throttle step. And back shutdown.
Stage 1 landing layer.
Confirmation of SECO's second engine cutoff.
Now we are waiting for our first stage to our drone ship. Of course, I Still Love.
Orbital.
Information, nominal
Dragon
orbital
copies,
insertion.
nominal orbital insertion.
What you're seeing on your screen is a live view of our drone ship, where our stage will be coming in. Looks like we lost that live view, but we'll wait for confirmation of that landing shortly here. And there you can see on your screen, Falcon 9 has landed. This is the first Falcon 9 to carry humans to orbit, so very exciting for us. And as you can see on your right screen, they are making their way to their targeted orbit.
M1D to recovery 1.
Not stop.
All right, we did hear again that call out, good orbital insertion. So that means Falcon 9 exactly where they're supposed to be.
M1D to FRC on recovery 1.
And it's right at about 12 minutes when Dragon will separate. Looks like we zero G indicator floating around there. I know Bob and Doug owe us a little bit about what exactly that is that they brought up with them.
And before separation, before Dragon initiates separation from the second stage, they do make sure to make, they do ensure that the vehicle is not spinning and it is in good condition before we separate.
That's right, the upper stage does small attitude maneuver using some cold gas thrusters built into the rocket itself.
Exactly. So we do expect that separation to occur in about a minute from now until they have full confirmation that it is ready for. Such cool views. I cannot get over what you're seeing right now. Bob and Doug on the right screen, inside, out in space.
Yeah, already 200 kilometers over planet Earth, or a little over 124, traveling in excess of 2,700 meters, 27,000 meters per second, 6,000 miles per hour. Again, we're just standing by. That separation event should be coming up shortly. Then they'll begin a series of checks on the Drake sensors, going to be maneuver, and then Power Dragon on its flight to the International Space Station. Standing by for separation.
Expect well.
We had an expected LOS loss of the stations. Waiting for confirmation now of that.
Dragon separation confirmed.
Dragon separation confirmed.
There is a great view right in front of you of Dragon separating.
Separation confirmed.
And there's that call out. Dragon is now officially making its way to the International Space Station today.
Dragon SpaceX with that separation call. We have a few words.
Standing by.
Dragon, Chief Engineer on Dragon to Ground. Bob Doug, on behalf of the entire launch team, thanks for flying with Falcon 9 today. We hope you enjoyed the ride and wish you a great mission.
Thanks, Bala. Congratulations to you and the F9 team for the first human ride for Falcon 9. And it was incredible. Appreciate all the hard work and thanks for the great ride to space.
Copy all.
Wow, and like proud of you guys and the rest of the team. Thank you so much for what you've done for us today, putting America on the Florida coast.
Copy all. Good luck. Godspeed.
All right, so Bob and Doug are in
Dragon
space.
SpaceX, we confirm nominal ECLS activation, section checkouts, nose cone deploys in progress.
Copy all. We're monitoring.
The core giving the crew a heads up that we have confirmation the nose cone is deploying. So again, that nose cone is going to open up a little bit more than 90 degrees. It goes up to about, I think, 150. The actual docking ring going through once they attach to the International Space Station. Those Draco thrusters, we call them the forward bulkhead thrusters. They're going to be your phase burns or firings of those thrusters to actually raise their over the coming hours. Activation of the environmental control and life support system. That's everything controlling their atmosphere, just keeping Dragon a nice, safe, habitable environment. We're going to for the next 9 hours till they arrive at the space station.
Right, exactly. And Falcon 4A, the mission is not over. Crew Dragon's job is not done. As you can see, Bob and Doug are still inside Crew Dragon, making their way. It will be International Space Station for they tomorrow morning. Such cool views that we can get these live views here and see our orbit.
Yeah, it's incredible to just be looking over their shoulder to be along for the ride. And we're going to be review the entire way for their journey to space station. We're going to be covering live. Bob and Doug will obviously have a sleep period where later today, before they wake up for all of their final approach. One major to look forward to in the next hours is going to be the first turn at the control. So they're actually going to be using those touchscreen displays to take control and manually pilot Dragon. We'll walk you through what that's going to look like, and assuming we have some good ground station coverage, we'll be able to use from right side they manipulate the control at the display. But I mean, we had a smooth ride uphill, both stages of the Falcon 9 doing their job, placing Bob and Doug into orbit. I mean, this is a day
Amanhã,
kicking off
ao meio-dia,
space flight
ou
that we've all
depois.
been
Vão ficar
talking
12
about
horas
since the
viajando pelo
space
espaço.
program came to an end in 2011.
Chegar na estação
And the weather
espacial
cooperated.
Yes.
internacional.
Second time's a charm.
Valeu, falou.
Right.
E até a
Books.
Fui.
As you can see, we have lost some live signal there, but the mission still continues. We're eager to see to continue broadcasting live with you guys.
Yeah, Jesse, I woke up to be back here on Sunday, but we did it, and the room cleared out. Everybody was outside watching, and inside the lights were shaking, the cameras were shaking.